Admiral Krathax of the Valorian Dominion stood before the Grand Council, his four eyes reflecting the cold light of distant stars projected across the chamber's crystalline ceiling. The holographic display before him showed nothing but empty space, a void where the Ninth Fleet should have been. "Explain," Counselor Veshitar demanded, her tendrils coiling with agitation. "How does an entire battle fleet simply disappear?" Krathax's mandibles clicked nervously. "They entered the Sol system 14 cycles ago. Standard invasion protocol. 300 warships, 40,000 soldiers, the finest technology the Dominion has ever produced." He paused, accessing the data stream. Their last transmission was unusual. The chamber fell silent as the recording played. Static filled the air, then a voice, Commander Zalix's voice, trembling with something the Valorians rarely experienced: fear. They were right. The humans were right. We should have listened. They're not. The transmission cut to screaming, then nothing. Counselor Veshitar leaned forward. "What did the humans say exactly?" Krathax pulled up an older file. A human face appeared on the display, weathered, scarred, with eyes that had seen too much. Ambassador Chen of Earth. "You may cross our borders," the recording began, "but do so understanding this. Humanity did not claw its way to the stars through mercy. We did not survive the century of storms, the resource wars, or the collapse by being weak. We sent this message as courtesy, not from fear." Ambassador Chen's expression hardened. "Turn back or learn why Earth doesn't have neighbors anymore." The Council had laughed at that message. Humanity was new to galactic politics, barely 3 generations into FTL travel. Their military seemed primitive, their weapons crude. They had no allies, no territory beyond their single yellow star. The Dominion had conquered 17 species across 200 worlds. What threat could one isolated planet pose? "Arrogance," Krathax muttered. "We ignored the intelligence reports." He displayed classified documents that had been buried in bureaucratic archives. Reports from trading vessels that had approached Sol system. Not one had reported hostile action, but their sensor logs told strange stories. Entire asteroid belts rearranged into geometric patterns. Quantum signatures that suggested weaponized physics that violated known laws. Energy readings from the dark side of Earth's moon that matched theoretical antimatter production facilities. But the most disturbing report came from a Valorian spy who had actually visited Earth itself. Krathax read it aloud. "I walked among them in their capital city. They seem soft. They laugh, they play, they create art. But their children study warfare tactics alongside mathematics. Their entertainment glorifies survival against impossible odds. Their history is an unbroken chain of extinction-level events that they simply refuse to accept. They terraform hostile worlds for practice." When I asked a human elder what they feared most, he said, "Ourselves, which is why we're very careful about what we point our guns at." The spy had recommended avoiding conflict with Earth. The report was dismissed. "Where is the 8th Fleet now?" Counselor Drethmore asked. "Holding position at the buffer zone as ordered," Krathax replied. "But Commander Yarthen is requesting permission to withdraw. He says his sensors are detecting something approaching from Sol system." "Show us." The display shifted to real-time feeds. At first, it seemed like nothing, just the black of space. Then slowly, shapes began to resolve. Not ships, Krathax realized with dawning horror. Not in any conventional sense. They were structures. Massive, kilometers-long constructs that didn't so much move through space as reshape it around themselves. They carried no visible weapons, emitted no heat signatures, made no sound across the void. But wherever they passed, reality seemed to ripple, as if the universe itself was uncomfortable with their presence. "How many?" Veshitar whispered. "Sensors indicate 12 primary vessels, but..." Krathax's voice trailed off as new data flooded in. "They're not vessels. They're platforms. Each one is carrying thousands of smaller craft. And behind them," his scales paled, "behind them is Earth's moon. They've moved their moon." The Council erupted in disbelief. Moving a planetary satellite required energy expenditure beyond anything they'd thought possible. It was a display of raw power that defied comprehension. A new transmission arrived. Ambassador Chen again. But this time there was no diplomacy in his eyes. "You were warned," Chen said simply. "The 9th Fleet entered our territory with weapons armed and hostility declared. We responded appropriately. Your ships weren't destroyed. We're not wasteful. They've been disassembled at the atomic level. and converted into raw materials. Your soldiers are alive in stasis and will be returned once we've finished our discussion. Krathax felt his circulatory system freeze. Chen continued. Humanity learned long ago that the universe doesn't reward the merciful, only the prepared. We spent 3,000 years perfecting the art of warfare on a single planet. We've had another 300 years to apply those lessons to space. You have 48 hours to withdraw all forces from the border zones and sign a non-aggression pact. If you refuse, we'll demonstrate why Earth doesn't have neighbors. The transmission ended. Counselor Veshtar looked at Krathax. Your recommendation, Admiral? Krathax thought about the Ninth Fleet. 300 warships reduced to atoms and reformed into whatever the humans needed. He thought about Ambassador Chen's words. We're not wasteful. That was somehow more terrifying than any threat. We sign, Krathax said. We sign immediately and we never approach Sol System again. The Dominion doesn't surrender to... The Dominion, Krathax interrupted, his voice hard, survives by knowing which battles to fight. Earth didn't just defeat the Ninth Fleet. They made it disappear as casually as one might recycle waste. That's not military superiority. That's a glimpse at what they consider basic resource management. He pulled up the image of Earth from their archives, a blue and green marble, beautiful and serene, hanging in the darkness. How many species, he wondered, had looked at that peaceful world and mistaken restraint for weakness? The vote was unanimous. Within the hour, the Valorian Dominion's non-aggression pact was transmitted to Earth. Within a day, the Ninth Fleet soldiers were returned, unharmed but changed. Each one now understood exactly what humanity was capable of. And throughout the galaxy, species who had been eyeing Earth's resources with greedy interest suddenly found other priorities. Because the humans had sent their message clearly, they had ignored Earth's warning, and the Ninth Fleet had simply vanished. Some lessons, it seemed, could only be learned the hard way.